The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, albeit a late edition, this is the aftermath of Jesse Bam Rodriguez and the systematic beatdown of Sonny Edwards become unified. What is it? IBF, I think IBF and WBO champion. So shout out to him. Big win for him in his career. Bam Rodriguez is putting together quite a resume at the age of 23. But before we get into all that, let me just tell you guys this. I was at the WBA convention this past week, as you know, out there in Orlando. I was out there for 3-4 days. So I'm backed up with content from that. So, by the time I got home, I wasn't able to go live for the fight. And that's why it took so long to get to this, because I'm trying to get to all this WBA convention content. But I'm going to be live twice today. This is actually the first of two lives. I'm going to be live to put the bow on top of this fight with Bam and Sonny and all things related to that. And then also later on tonight, I'll go live to preview the Saudi Arabia card, as well as talk about some other things in boxing I haven't gotten to yet. So a lot busy day here on True School Sports. But for those of you tuning in, make sure you guys hit that like button. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel, and definitely leave your comments down below. I would like to hear from you guys as well, because I love doing these lives. I don't get a chance to do these lives as much as I want to, but when I get a chance to do them, it's always a good time, and it's always fun to interact with the boxing fans. So it is what it is. Shout out to my man, what's his name, El Pelon. He says Rodriguez whooped Sonny Edwards' ass like his daddy. Yeah, it was bad for Sonny. I give Sonny all the credit in the world. Sonny, he fought a game plan. I thought he wasn't going to fight. He sat there more in the pocket. He was a lot more, aggressive in the pocket than I thought he'd be. But yeah, when it came down to it, Bam just had too much firepower for him, broke him down, stopped him in the ninth round. But listen, it takes two to tango. It takes two to make a good fight. And I think Sonny Edwards does deserve his respect. But lot to talk about. Lot of things to talk about, because people are talking about what's going to happen next for Bam. They're throwing his name in the Inoue sweepstakes. They're talking about him fighting Gallo. He's fighting everyone with a big name below featherweight. Bam's name has been linked to them. And as for Sonny, there's a lot of good attractive options for him at 108 and 112 as well. So a lot to discuss. We got Enrique Luna in the building. Shout out to my main man, Enrique Luna. Good to see you, champ. Long-time viewer. Good to see him. But listen, let's not waste no time. I'll address everybody's comments, but we're not trying to make this a long drawn out live, because I'm doing two of these today, so I got to make sure I have some energy for later on. But nonetheless, let's go to screen share, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to discuss. And we'll start off we'll actually start with Sonny Edwards, right? Because there's plenty to talk about with Bam, but we'll start with Sonny, because I feel like Sonny and Bam, they both delivered a great fight. And shout out to my man on Twitter, Gary William. He said he had a great tweet here, and he said, and I quote, "This fight was boxing at its finest. Bam and Sonny Edwards are showing that they got enough boxing IQ between the pair of them to cover a boxing encyclopedia. The elite versus the elite." Yes, sir. That's what it was, man. I thought, before we get into Sonny Edwards, I thought it was really interesting to see stylistically the adjustments that were made between both fighters. From the Bam Rodriguez side of things, he's a guy that a lot of his offense is predicated on those angles, the pivoting, the little side steps around the opponent to create that next big punch. Kind of like Lomachenko, kind of like Carlos Canizales. Back in the day, he has that quality about him. But he had a guy in Sonny whose feet are a lot more intelligent than a lot of the guys he's been fighting. So he wasn't really able to do that as much in this fight. So Bam had to really have intelligent feet and had to fight in a bit of a different way to break Sonny down. And as for Sonny, to see Sonny in there in the pocket in exchanges, yes, he was getting touched up. Yes, he was getting beaten up. But to see Sonny Edwards actually in the pocket, winning exchange against Bam Rodriguez, holding his ground at times, it was definitely fun to watch. So yeah, I would concur with this tweet right here. Both of them, I think, are two of the smartest fighters in boxing, and they do both have enough boxing IQ to cover an encyclopedia. And on top of that, I think Bam will be champion again. I think Sonny will be champion again. And boxing fans will look fondly upon this fight that took place between two of the best fighters in the world, especially two of the best fighters below featherweight in Sonny and Bam. So yeah, shout out to them for putting on a great fight for the fans and making the fights we, the boxing fans, wanted to see when we wanted to see it. But let's start with Sonny, right? Because you gotta respect him. I don't care if you were rooting for Bam. I don't care if you're rooting for Sonny. No matter how you felt about the fight and how it played out, this is the first thing Bam or Sonny tweeted after the fight. He said, I quote, "Yo, Bam Rodriguez beat my ass," and he obviously is poking fun at himself. And you know, that's one thing I like about Sonny Edwards is Sonny Edwards, like he's authentic. He's true to himself. He doesn't, you know, take himself too seriously, but he's always willing to fight the best. And he's letting you guys know the truth. Bam Rodriguez ripped him a new asshole. I can't lie to you. He did. Sonny had his moments. Sonny did his thing, but Bam Rodriguez put on a clinic in precision power punching and how to break a slick, you know, fighter with intelligent feet down. So what he's telling y'all is the truth. And the fact that he could acknowledge it so early after the fight when I'm sure emotions are running high, it just goes to show you that Sonny Edwards doesn't have an ego. And I think a lot of fighters could learn a thing or two about how to conduct themselves after a tough loss like Sonny Edwards. Now, as far as Sonny Edwards, I mean, look, he had a rough go of things in the fight. It was not an easy night at the office for him. The dude literally, I think he fractured his orbital bone. I had it right here. But yeah, basically from the second round on, Sonny Edwards had his orbital bone fractured as I wait for this to load. Yeah, where is it? I had it right here. Hold on. Where we at? Getting these tabs confused. He said right here, from the second round, I was seeing double out of my left eye. I couldn't gauge if he was in or out of range. I was getting caught at the edge of distance, and I started throwing anytime I knew he was there, and it ended up getting me cut and then put down. It is what it is. I got beaten by the better man. Simple as that. And look, Sonny Edwards even put his record in this tweet. He put 20-1. So he's being humble in defeat. And that's what boxing is all about. I feel like a real champion isn't defined by a belt. A real champion isn't defined by just their losses, but it's how you handle the losses and it's how you come back from them. And you know, we don't know how Sonny's going to come back from the loss. However, he's handling it like a champion should. He's not he's not taking away from Bam's victory. He's not saying what he didn't do, or I was feeling sick, or my girlfriend and I had problems. None of that stuff. And that's what it is. You know, he got beat by the better man, and there's no shame in that. Still a lot of good fights out there for him. Still, I think it, you know, with his performance and the way he fought and putting on an entertaining fight and the build-up, let's make no mistakes about it, ladies and gentlemen. We know Bam Rodriguez brought the entertainment inside the ring, but Sonny Edwards made this fight as big as it was with the way he built it up outside the ring and definitely with the way he decided to fight inside the ring. Inside and outside the ring, Sonny Edwards was a big reason why this fight was as big as it was and why, you know, a fight at flyweight got so much good promotion. You know, so I think he deserves a lot of credit for this fight getting the attention it got, you know. And a lot of people, you know, they become fans of Sonny Edwards. A lot of people that were not rooting for him, that were rooting against him, have become fans of him. Here's one guy. One guy said right here, some guy on Twitter named Ruben Narvaez says, "It's always good to see top fighters take a loss the way you are. They make fans out of people. I'm sure I'm not the only Mexican to say that you made a fan out of them. You fought your ass off and went out like a champion should." Sonny responded by saying, and I quote, "I just love fighting. I'll always bet big on myself, win, lose, or draw. Real fights only." And there's a lot of, you know, quote unquote, real fights out there for Sonny Edwards. There's no shortage of real fights out there for Sonny Edwards. You know, he's talked about potentially moving down to, what is it, 108. You know, he's talked about maybe bringing some of the guys up to 112. But listen, the one fight I want to see, and I think I had it right here in this tweet. Is it this tweet right here? I think it's this tweet. Where we at? You know, okay, before I get into who we might fight next, by the way, I see you, Boxing Therapy. My man Boxing Therapy says, "I think the way Sonny performed will bring him into more bigger fights for himself." Yeah, it's not just the way he performed. It's also the way he promoted the fight. Because, like I said, Bam Rodriguez ain't much of a talker. Bam Rodriguez is very much an introverted guy. He doesn't really have a lot of words to say. You know, and it's not anything to slag off or criticize. It's just that you don't want fighters, and you don't want people being something that they're not. There's a lot of fighters in boxing today that are being something that they're not. And, you know, this fight needed Sonny Edwards and his character to be as big as it was, and he delivered. But if you think you're going to criticize Sonny Edwards and he's going to get bothered about what you guys have to say, here's what he said. He said, I quote, "You think I care if there's hundreds and thousands of people who are slagging me? They don't realize that they do more advertising and promotion for me than anything else." So listen, he's not bothered. If you're out here criticizing Sonny Edwards, if you're out here saying that, you know, he ain't shit and he's a bum and making fun of him, he's not bothered about it. He's come to peace that this is what comes with the game. This is what comes with the sport. It comes with the territory. You know, this ain't badminton. This ain't the NBA. This ain't cricket. This ain't croquet. This ain't the NFL where you can blame your teammates. This is boxing. So you got to take your wins and you got to take your losses the same way. And if you can't do that, then you're a loser. And that's just how it goes. But as far as Sonny Edwards and what could be next, he did mention what could be next for him. He stated the following, and I quote, "Maybe me versus Angel Ayala, who was going to be called as my next mandatory." And then he also said that he likes the idea of picking up the winner of Adrian Curiel versus Fernando Nochinga, because for those that know, for those that don't know, Adrian Curiel and Nochinga are having a rematch. They're having a rematch. That's going to be, I think, in February in Mexico. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, Nochinga was IBF champion. He had ambitions to fight Kenshiro. Nochinga won the belt in Mexico originally. He's gonna have to go to Mexico to win it back. We'll see how that goes. But that'd be a good fight, you know, stylistically speaking. I think Sonny would probably have to move down because he'd want the belt at 108, try to become a two-division champion. But you know, Curiel is a tough Mexican fighter, likes to come forward and likes to throw a lot of punches. He's also, if they are to fight at 108 pounds, Curiel is a lot stronger at that weight than he is at 112, as we saw in the first Nochinga fight. So it'd be a tough ask. I think Sonny could win it, but I think Sonny has the boxing IQ, and I think the Bam Rodriguez fight will make him a lot better, being able to deal with that type of sort of style. Because although he has fought some pressure fighters like the Alvarados of the world and Maruti Mitalani and guys like that, Bam Rodriguez was young, fresh, strong. So I think now he'd be more prepared to deal with a guy like an Adrian Curiel, who I don't think is as skilled as Bam Rodriguez. And as far as Nochinga is a big, strong guy at light flyweight. I have my questions about Nochinga if he can make the weight, but we'll see how it goes. I think those are both attractive options for Sonny Edwards going into next year. But I'll tell you guys this: I think the fight that Sonny Edwards, I know Sonny Edwards has stated in the past that one of his dreams is to fight in Japan, and he stated that he'd love to fight Kenshiro Taraji, the number one light flyweight in the world. You know, who's a good friend of the program, a good friend of the True School Sports, who I had a chance to interview in my time in Japan. You know, right now he's holding the crown at light flyweight, and I think, you know, okay, he didn't beat Bam Rodriguez. That's okay. He lost to the better man. But I'll tell you this, man: if Sonny Edwards could get a Kenshiro fight and get that name on his resume, I think that would go a long way towards the narrative of his career and just his perception, because Kenshiro is one of the best fighters out there. And I think when you look at promotionally, it makes sense, right? Because for those of you who know, and for those of you who don't know, Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn announced a couple months ago that they partnered up with I forgot what companies, but they had this partnership going on where they're supposed to have about 3 to 4 shows in Japan per year. So if Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn is looking to make a big Japanese fight in Japan as part of the whole Japanese venture, I think a fight like Sonny Edwards versus Kenshiro for the light flyweight titles, that should be something to look into. So, you know, really, really going to be a good matchup if it does happen. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes there. Lot of stuff going on with Sonny Edwards. A lot of stuff going on with Sonny Edwards. You know, again, he said it himself. He feels like he can make 108. Obviously, he already campaigns at 112, and he's also considering a move to 115. So there really is no shortage of options for Sonny Edwards. There is no shortage of what he could do. There's plenty of fights for him. And again, it's kind of like, in a sense, like this loss against Bam Rodriguez, it reminds me a lot of when Caleb Plant fought Dave Benavidez earlier in the year. You know, Caleb Plant talked a good game, went into the fight, had his fair share of moments early in the fight, ultimately got systematically beaten down and lost. But because of the fact that he was willing to take on a guy like Dave Benavidez and he already fought Canelo, he won a lot of fans. And it's the same thing. His stock rose in a loss. Sonny Edwards, same thing. Stock rose in a loss. So I'm looking real forward to seeing what he does. And I'm gonna say this to close out. And I see your super chat, Felipe. I'm gonna get to it in a second. But let me get this last thing off about Bam Rodriguez, because I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe we reached the stage where I'm about to do this. I'm about to really criticize. I'm about to explode on my favorite fighter in history, because you guys know my favorite fighter in the history of boxing, and I want this to be very known. I want this to be very, very clear. I want this to be very, very concise. My favorite fighter in boxing is not Naoya Inoue, because a lot of people think that just started following me. They think that because I talk about Inoue so much that's my favorite fighter in history. It is not. My favorite fighter is not Naoya Inoue. It is not Terrence Crawford. My favorite fighter in history is Roman Gonzalez, but I gotta call him out because, you know, he's been talking a lot of trash to Sonny Edwards, and I don't give a damn. I don't really give a rat's ass if Sonny Edwards lost to Bam Rodriguez. I still want to see Sonny Edwards versus Roman Gonzalez. Why? Because Roman Gonzalez ain't doing anything else right now. Like, he's not fighting Kosai Tanaka. He's not fighting Kazuto Ioka. So the way I see it is this: if you're not fighting Kazuto Ioka, if you're not fighting Kosai Tanaka, then shut up and fight Sonny Edwards. That's kind of where I'm at, because I'm pretty sure that this isn't him on the screen tweeting these tweets, but still, people that, you know, he's associated with run his account. So I gotta take it as if it's him, right? So Roman Gonzalez said, Sonny Edwards, great effort. Have a Merry Christmas. Heal up. God bless. Hashtag levels to this game. And as you guys can see right down there, I tweeted that this isn't even Roman tweeting this. Go fight Bam. Yeah, he need to go fight Bam. Like, honestly, you in the same weight class. I don't want to hear none of that Mr. Honda Tekken promotion bullshit. Like, either you fight Bam or you fight Sonny or fight Ioka or Tanaka. Fight one of them four or retire. If Roman Gonzalez fight anyone outside of them four, he got to retire. And that's just the truth, because he's running his mouth all over Twitter talking about Sonny Edwards, and you know, I want to see that fight. That's actually the number one fight for Sonny Edwards I want to see. So to close out my whole segment on Sonny Edwards before I get to Felipe Super Chat, I want to see Sonny Edwards versus Roman Gonzalez number one, Ken Sherrill number two, and then the winner of Adrian Curiel versus Nochinga can be three. And I think any one of those three fights for Sonny Edwards would suffice, and his stock has went up in a loss. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So yeah, shout out to Sonny Edwards. Probably, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, he might be my favorite flyweight. Not because he's the best, not because he punches the hardest or anything like that. I just like the way he is. Like, I like the fact that he talks shit, and then when he loses, he's not like a bitch about it. Like, he's authentic. Like, I like his authenticity that he brings to the sport. I still think when he decides to actually move around the ring and use his legs, he actually is still one of the best defensive fighters in boxing. But that's got to show you how good Bam Rodriguez is. The fact that Bam Rodriguez took one of the best defensive fighters in boxing and basically turned him into freaking Arturo Gatti or let me see, who's like a really bad defensive fighter. He turned him into Ruslan Provodnikov, because I think he landed like 50 or 60 punches. Something like that, 50 or 60% of the punches, like a high, obscene, crazy percentage. So, yeah, man, those are my thoughts on Sonny Edwards. Shout out to everyone here. It's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. In the afternoon, you know, I don't normally do the afternoon show, but, you know, I got to catch up on a lot. So this is the first of 2 lives today. I will be live later on tonight. We're going to preview the Saudi Arabia card. You know, Wilder, you know, all them guys. We'll talk about that later on, as well as other things in boxing. So if you guys want to talk about that later on, tune in. I'll probably be live for that around, like, I'm thinking like 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. What is that? 7 p.m. Pacific. So yeah, definitely tune in. But let's address the first super chat of the live before we get into Bam, because there's so much to say with Bam Rodriguez. There's so much to address with brother Bam Rodriguez. So shout out to Felipe with the super chat. You know, before we get to the super chat, I gotta say thank you to him. I gotta say thank you to God, and I gotta say thank you to Al Heyman, because, you know, I pray to Al Heyman.
What do you think Al Heyman's doing for boxing PBC?
I'm not sure. I know he's doing great for me. You know, me and my daughters thank Al Heyman, you know, in our prayers every night. You know, he's changing boxing, but I can't really speak for everybody else. I'm speaking for me.
There you go. There you go. So thank you, Felipe, for the super chat. And thank Al Heyman for and God and Al Heyman for a great day. Felipe says, BT, no one will be talking basketball, Sonny, if he had not talked shit about shit, but by the measures you use, it'll be measured to you. He said he was going to retire Bam and make him quit. I don't remember him saying that, but I do know I mean, it doesn't sound far-fetched. If he said that, then listen. One thing I'll say about Bam Rodriguez, Felipe, is that not Bam Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards, I should say. One thing I'll say about Sonny Edwards is that once he lost and people started giving him shit on Twitter, he's just taking it all on the chin and he's actually having fun with it. So, you know, he's taking his losses like he takes his wins. But you're correct. If you don't want people talking shit to you, then don't talk shit to people. But Sonny Edwards can actually handle it, so that's why he did it, I guess. But we'll see how it goes, man. Definitely going to be interesting to see how his career develops because he's had a magnificent career so far. He's the only guy he's lost to is Bam Rodriguez. The only guy he's lost to is a fighter that in Bam, who I think quiet as kept. He's starting to put like a Hall of Fame resume together already. I know people don't want to hear that because they say, oh, BT, these guys are midgets. They're not fighting nobody. They got to fight the best because there's no money in the weight classes. But listen, he's making it happen. He's performing every time they put like a top guy in front of him. And I'm not sitting here and I'm not putting him in the Hall of Fame yet, but he's definitely a pound top 10 fighter. That's not up for discussion no more. You know what I'm saying? And with the way it's going, you know, you look at Bam Rodriguez in the trajectory he's on, I'm thinking like he keeps doing what he's doing these next 2 or 3 years. We might just be looking at a guy that's going to be in the Hall of Fame because his resume, his accomplishments, what he's done in the sport so far, it's light years ahead of every young fighter in his age bracket. And that's just the truth. Let me see. Yeah, my man Lyndon Jones, he says, that's all promotion. All fighters do that. Yeah, you got to promote the fight. Like the fight, again, I reiterate, the fight was only as big as it was due in large part to the fact that Sonny Edwards did the trash talking because it sure as hell wasn't a big fight because of Ring Magazine. Ring Magazine didn't put the belt on the line, so that the fight wasn't as big because of them. Sonny Edwards' trash talk was one of the reasons why this fight got the attention it got, and that needs to be very, very highlighted here on True School Sports. Michael Manning, what's good, champ? Good to see you. He says, BT, True School, and work. One is way better than the other. Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to everybody at work. I know we're all trying to make something of ourselves in life. You know, I've been busting my ass. You know, I've been in front of this computer for seemingly like the last 36 hours straight, editing and researching and planning lives, and just it's been a lot of work we're putting into the channel. I still got interviews I gotta edit. Like I interviewed Adrian Granados recently. I interviewed Zachary Spiller, who's like a prospect. I interviewed Elijah Pierce. Haven't even got to those yet, so stay tuned for those when they come out. But and all the other content on the channel. Just so much great things are happening in boxing here on True School Sports. And 2024 is going to be a special year. You know, I was at the WBA convention, shaking hands, kissing babies, petitioning for, you know, mistreated fighters to get a higher ranking, even though I'm not a manager. You know, it's crazy stuff happening in the world of boxing. But Michael says, or we'll go Felipe. He says, the tongue has the power of life and death. Yes, it really does. That's why you got to be careful of your thoughts. You got to be careful what you speak out into the world because, you know, as a man thinks, as the good book says, as the good book says, as a man thinks, so he shall become. So got to be very careful. Michael says, when you see Sonny in the pocket trading leather with a banger like Bam, it was really wild. Yeah, and look, he said it. He said it. He said pretty much that he spars a lot like that. So I believe him now. I didn't believe him before. I believe him now. It was wild. It was absolutely wild. Yeah. Where is Bam off to now? 115. Yeah, let's talk about that. We'll talk about that in a second. Shout out to Hyro. He says these guys are midgets. They're like 2 pounds. Chris Cole probably made more than Bam. No comment, Hyro. You just doing that PBC. Dick ride on PBC again. It's crazy, Hyro. Normally, Hyro, you normally wait till nighttime to dick ride PBC, but now you dick ride on PBC in the afternoon. Or actually, you're in California, so you're dick ride on PBC in the morning. So shout out to Hyro. He's probably not wrong though. Chris Cole might have made more than Bam and Sonny. Who knows? Because they do be underpaying these guys in the low weight class. But nonetheless. Let's get to Bam because we have a lot to discuss when it comes to the subject of Bam Rodriguez. So let's talk about this, man. Bam Rodriguez, and we'll go back to screen share. You know, San Antonio's very own. the now 3-time world champion, the 2-division world champion, beating Rung Versailles, beating Carlos Cuadras, beating now Sonny Edwards. I mean, his resume is special. It's very special for someone of his caliber. And there was a tweet I saw here. Shout out to my man Frank Warren is in the UK. All right, he says, if Bam beats Estrada by stoppage, is he a Hall of Famer with that resume at 23? I mean, y'all want to put Earl Spence in the Hall of Fame, but he's beat who? So let's talk about it. So Bam Rodriguez, I think it was the 8th or 9th round, or no, the 7th round, I think. When he was in the corner, Robert Garcia was literally telling Bam in the corner, he said, Bam, Gael Estrada's here. Make sure you call him out after the fight. And he's telling him this in the corner while he's beating up Sonny Edwards. So it was crazy. And that's the fight he wants because Bam Rodriguez feels some type of way because when he had subpar performances against the likes of Israel Gonzalez and Christian Gonzalez, you know, Gael had a lot to say about it. Gael was sliding his performances and underrating his performances and just not giving him, he feels, his just due, right, for the fights he had. So he wants to fight him. And obviously it's you got one young, upcoming Mexican-American rising star against, you know, in my opinion, it's in a very, very unpopular one, but in my opinion, Gael Estrada is the greatest Mexican fighter of his era. You may say, why is Gael Estrada the greatest Mexican fighter of his era? Why is he better than Canelo? Well, because unlike Canelo, every man that's ever gotten into the ring with Gael Estrada, including the great and incomparable Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, they've all tasted defeat. All of them. Cuadras, defeated. Roman Gonzalez, defeated. Rung Versailles, defeated. Anyone you want to name. Brian Valoria, defeated. Anyone you want to name that's gotten into the ring with Gael Estrada at some point in his career has been defeated. Nobody has ever got one over on Gael Estrada. And there are some fighters that I know box fans would say are much greater than Gael, like Canelo and even like Roman Gonzalez. But even they can't make that claim. So because of that, I look at Gael Estrada in a high regard, higher than most. Great fighter, A+++ fighter. So if Bam were to fight Gael Estrada and beat him, it would just, in my opinion, take his resume to a whole other stratosphere. Now, it is worth noting that Gael Estrada did recently announce that he's going to experiment with the move up to bantamweight. They're saying that he's targeting a March return date. So we'll see how it goes. He may feel like his path is to go ahead and, you know, try to explore a future at bantamweight, become a 3-division champion, and maybe build up a nice, you know, super fight with Junto Nakatani, because Junto Nakatani is fighting for the WBC belt against Santiago. So if Nakatani gets his hands on that belt, all of a sudden you got a really good Mexico versus Japan fight there, and that could be a good option for him. But Bam versus Gael would be a great fight stylistically. You know, obviously Bam Rodriguez is got a lot about him. You know, he showed that he can box in this fight with Sonny with a really good, long, educated jab. He obviously has great footwork, but at the same time, Gael Estrada, high work rate, elite counterpuncher, doesn't really know how to lose. I mean, guy's a winner. That's probably the one way out. That's the one word I will describe Gael Estrada as, a winner, because nobody he's ever fought has been able to say they've ever, you know, not lost to him at some point. You know, so great fight for the definitely for the future. Bam Rodriguez, funny enough, shout out to Steve Kim, the incomparable Steve Kim, one of my favorite people in boxing as far as media goes. And some people don't like Steve Kim. I like Steve Kim. I got a lot of respect for Steve Kim. He said, and I quote, I've said this before, there is some Mark Too Sharp Johnson to Bam Rodriguez's game. I can't pay anyone a bigger compliment than that. Now, you know, Mark Too Sharp Johnson, that's a damn good fighter. That's not anybody to be, you know, just comparing anyone to. Mark Too Sharp Johnson was special in his day. He could do it all. He can box, punch, counterpunch, slug. I mean, anything you want a boxer to do, Mark could do it. I don't think Bam is quite on the level skills-wise as a Mark Too Sharp Johnson, but there is. I would agree, actually. Believe it or not, I would agree. There is some Mark Too Sharp Johnson-esque things about Bam, and that's why, you know, I was watching that Sonny fight. I was mad. I was a little upset because I wanted Sonny to win. I'm a Sonny Edwards fan, but you know, I had to sit there and appreciate what I was seeing. You know, greatness, because that's what Bam Rodriguez continues to exhibit throughout his boxing career, is nothing short of greatness. You know. Shout out to Coach Malachi Williams. And I want to, before I move on to, let me see what else we got. Because a lot of people are giving Bam his flowers. Coach Malachi Williams is saying that he's a pound-for-pound fighter. Marcos Villegas, shout out to him. These are some of the content creators here on YouTube. He's saying that, Bam is going to be a Hall of Famer. And right now, the way he's trending, I mean, it's going to be hard to not see it. He gets to win against a guy like Guy Estrada or even like a Junto Nakatani or something like that, becomes a bantamweight champion against a legitimate fighter. Then all of a sudden, you're definitely talking about something real special. So I think he's well on his way. I think Robert Garcia has done an amazing job. Shout out to Robert Garcia and RGBA. Shout out to just everyone involved with his career because they moved him perfectly. He's taken the right fights at the right time, and he's performed. And look, it's not really up for debate. Like if you're telling me, if we're talking about a pound-for-pound list, if you're saying BT, who deserves to be on a pound-for-pound list more, Tank Davis or Bam? I'm saying Tank. Tank Davis or Benavidez? Bam. Tank Davis or not Tank Davis, Bam or what's his name? Shakur Stevenson? Bam. He's doing more. All these guys like Tank and Benavidez and Shakur, he's doing more than all of them. Straight up. He's doing more than all of them. He's having better performances against better opposition. Not to say that those guys aren't doing great, but to do what he's doing at such a young age, it's hard to ignore. And I'd be shocked if next year, I'm going to say it right now, Bam Rodriguez for 2024 is already one of my early front runners for Fighter of the Year, because I think next year is going to be the year where he gets big fights against guys like, the likes of Guy Estrada or maybe Kazuto Ioka or Kosai Tanaka, or maybe if he wants to decide to stay at 112, maybe a Ken Shiro. He's going to get some big fights. And so provided that he's able to win those fights, he's going to be in running for Fighter of the Year in 2024, which is kind of crazy because he was in running for Fighter of the Year last year. A lot of people had him as their Fighter of the Year in 2022. And so we'll see how it goes. We will definitely see how it goes. But let me see. What else we got? So obviously his name's getting attached to everyone. Hold on a second. Let me before we get into Bam versus Inoue, because we know that once we get into this Bam Inoue talk, it's gonna get a little crazy here on True School Sports. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Shout out to everyone here. Let me go address some comments while I'm sitting here in the first live of the day. Where's Hawker Mustang at? I saw Hawker's comment. Shout out to Hawker Mustang. Hawker Mustang says, who is better pound for pound, Bam or Gervonta Davis? Well, look, Bam Rodriguez hasn't put in any crazy clauses or anything like that. He's beaten legitimate guys for world titles. I mean, Sonny Edwards was a legitimate champion. Honestly, it's gonna sound crazy. I would definitely say Bam. I think Bam's career has more substance than a guy like Tank. Now, Tank is great. Tank's knocking out everything in sight. But who's Tank's best win on his resume? Jose Pedraza, Ryan Garcia. I mean, come on. Let's be real. I don't think any of the guys he's defeated are as good as a Sonny Edwards. I don't think any of them are as good as Rung Vasai or even like what's his name. I mean, Quadras is a little older. Rumbasai's a little older, so I get all that. But in my eyes, like the way he broke down a guy like Sonny Edwards, I would take that over anything Tank has done. But that's just me. I might be in the minority on that. You guys can let me know in the comments. Hawker also said, "Long time no see, BT." What you mean, man? I've been here. What do you mean, long time no see? I've been dropping content like crazy. I was just at the WBA convention, shaking hands and kissing babies and talking to sanctioning body people and. I mean, long time no see with you, champ. I've been here. So good to see you in the chat, Hawker. Hope all is well. Kevin says Sonny Edwards is one of the biggest clowns in the sport. Big time cornball. I mean, hey, he teaches his own. I like Sonny Edwards. I think Sonny Edwards is a real fighter who's fought nothing but real fighters in his career when given the opportunity, and I think he's gonna be champion again. But to each his own. Harold says Bam is fighting these old Mexicans. He ain't talking about my Japanese fighters. It's when each weight class is 3 pounds apart. You can go number 2 and be 115. Harold, don't you worry. We're going to talk about Bam against some of those Japanese fighters because, look, I give Bam his credit. I give him his just due. But listen, as far as his path to greatness in the sport as it continues to go, it does revolve around Japanese fighters. And I don't care if it's a Japanese fighter at 108. I don't care if it's a Japanese fighter at 112. I don't care. We're talking about Japanese fighter at 115, 118, 122. He better fight one of these damn Japanese fighters. And let's get into that, right? Because ever since Bam beat Sonny, the whole talk in boxing has been about Bam fighting, the guy that everyone talks about. Whenever you speak about fights below featherweight, whenever you talk about anybody's big fight below featherweight in boxing, the money man around these weights is the monster. Yokohama's very own, the Yokohama Terror himself, Naoya Inoue. Now, Chris Mannix, shout out to Chris Mannix, veteran in the damn media game, the zone commentator. He tweeted this after the fight. He said the following, and I quote, "The big fight everyone at Matchroom was talking about is Bam Rodriguez versus Naoya Inoue. If Bam can beat Juan Francisco Estrada, and I expect that fight in early 2024, and if Inoue stays at 122, look for a push to make Inoue versus Bam at the end of the year." So let's talk about that for a second, because this is a fight that, I'll be honest with you guys, I've talked to and I've interviewed so many fighters in boxing about fighting Naoya Inoue. Pretty much, guys, whenever I interview anybody who's like a 122 pounder or 126 pounder, I always ask them about Inoue. Like, I've asked Angela Lee about fighting Inoue. I've asked Odebek Komatar about fighting Inoue. I asked Ruben Villa's coach, Sam Garcia, about fighting Inoue. I interviewed, who else did I talk about? Shushu Carrington. I mean, that's the protocol when I interview fighters at featherweight and 122, right? So now, let's throw Bam's name in the mix. Now, people may say, BT, True School, this fight is unrealistic because Bam is a small fighter. Bam doesn't fight at 122. How could you say, how could we even ponder this, right? And I want to show you guys something, because I think something people don't realize about Bam is that Bam, when he's not in camp for fights and he's not like, cutting weight, he's not big as far as height, but he's big as far as, he has a good frame on him. He could fight at Bam could fight at 118 easily. He could fight at 122 easily. In fact, to illustrate my point, I want to show you guys, if you guys can see right here, this fight right here in 2017, he fought a Mexican fighter named Jorge Mosqueria. And you can see that Bam weighed in that fight at 126 3/4 pounds. So Bam essentially fought above the featherweight limit. He was basically a super featherweight. He fought at super featherweight. Albeit it was only one time, he still did it. So listen, if he did it once, he could do it again. So I don't question the fact that Bam could fight Naoya Inoue. Now, be a real intriguing fight, because when it comes to the subject of Naoya Inoue and what he brings to the table, I feel like Inoue has the boxing skills to outbox a lot of the power punchers, but then he's also explosive enough to knock out the boxers, right? So a guy that's going to beat him has to have a little bit of both. He has to be the best of both worlds. And I think Bam Rodriguez does have the best of both worlds. Bam punches really hard for the weight. Bam Rodriguez has good footwork. Bam Rodriguez has fought high-level fighters, so he's got good experience. Bam Rodriguez has a world-class trainer in his corner in Robert Garcia. I mean, he ticks all the boxes of someone that could give Inoue a really good fight. And I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I feel like when you talk about featherweight on down, these are two of the best fighters you have to offer. When you talk about from 105 on up, they're definitely two of the top. Yeah, I think you have Inoue is the top guy, and Bam is definitely in the top three with what he's doing right now. So you got to, give a lot of respect to Bam. I think Bam has done a great job of putting himself in position to maybe get that fight. And I'm gonna tell you guys this, because I was talking to one of my friends in Japan yesterday, from Japan, my boy Kai Zama. Shout out to my boy Kai Zama, the former Japanese professional fighter. I think he had I'm gonna say he had 16 or 17 pro fights. He actually boxed. He's from Japan. He boxed at Korakuen Hall. Me and him are talking about actually doing some stuff in the boxing world together. So shout out, stay tuned for that. Kai Zama. But he was actually putting me on game yesterday on the phone. We were talking about. He was telling me about how the infrastructure of Japanese boxing works, and he brought to my attention that basically, if you're a Japanese fighter, it doesn't matter which gym you train out of, because in Japan, it's different than the USA. Your gym is a promotional company. Your gym is your promoter. But no matter what gym you train out of, and no matter, who's promoting you, if you're a Japanese fighter and you have any ambitions of fighting abroad, from what I was told, no matter what gym you train out of, you have to go through Mr. Honda and Tekken Promotions. Mr. Honda has Japanese boxing and you know, the fighters, you know, dreams of fighting abroad. He has that in a Cobra Clutch. You got to go through him. So when I think about the fact that Bam Rodriguez is already signed to Tekken Promotions, and I think about the fact that Naoya Inoue has a working relationship with Mr. Honda and Tekken Promotions, that to me makes this fight extremely realistic. Because I'll say it like this: if Bam fights Gaio and beats him, if Mr. Honda wants the fight with Inoue and Bam to happen, it's going to happen. And how do I know that? Because Mr. Honda doesn't want Roman Gonzalez to fight Bam. And guess what? Roman Gonzalez and Bam are not going to fight each other, which I'll get to later on in the live. So I think someone needs to ask Mr. Honda what he thinks about this fight. If someone could figure out what the hell Mr. Honda thinks about Bam versus Inoue and get some quotes from him on that, that'll let you know everything right there. Because if he wants that fight to happen, bet your bottom dollar it's going to happen. And it'd be a really good fight. I think Bam, too, he rehydrates. Like, he does rehydrate pretty high in weight. So I feel like, you know, him fighting Naoya Inoue would, you know, isn't as far-fetched as you guys think. And believe it or not, he might actually wind up being the bigger man in the ring because, like I told you guys, he's not tall, but he's wide. And I think Naoya Inoue, that would be a fight. You know, a lot of times people say Naoya Inoue, he's just a knockout artist. I've seen this new narrative floating around about Naoya Inoue that he's only this knockout artist. He's more punching power than he is skill. Like I heard, like Rick Glazer came on here and said that like a month ago. Ismail Salah said that when I was interviewing him about Robeisy Ramirez fighting Inoue before Robeisy lost to Espinoza. And it's crazy because Inoue is so good at knocking people out as the precision puncher he is that his boxing skills are getting slept on. And we saw in the Stephen Fulton fight, he could outbox the boxers, all right? We've seen it many times in his career. He can outbox the boxers. So if there was ever a fight that I feel would actually bring out the full, pure boxing skills of Naoya Inoue, this might be the one because of Bam's footwork, his pivots, his strength, his punching power, his punch placement. It's a damn good fight. And all I need to know about this fight is, does Mr. Honda want it to happen? Because if that answer is yes, it's going to happen. And I'm gonna leave it right there. Those are my thoughts on Bam versus Inoue. My early preliminary thoughts about Bam versus Inoue, because I'm probably gonna clip this video and it'll come out as its own separate video when I go back and I edit all this. But let's address some comments because we do got some comments here. Shout out to everybody tuning in the afternoon. If you're at work, if you're at home, if you're just waking up, it's your boy BT, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Be live later on, so make sure you guys join us for that. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and let's work our way down these comments. Let me see. Hey Sue Sam, shout out to him, long-time viewer. Got a lot of love from my brother. Hey Sue Sam, he says, BT, let's not crown Bam Rodriguez just yet. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not crowning him. I'm just acknowledging what he's accomplished so far and the opportunities that he has presented to him. There's a lot of potential opponents for Bam. His career is just beginning. I can't crown him. His career is just beginning, so we'll see how it goes for him. He says, saludos, BT. You forgot Alan Garcia at 135 with Ashton Silva and Floyd Schofield. Yeah, shout out to Alan Garcia. I don't know a ton about Alan Garcia. I know his nickname is Kid Kansas, and I know that he had a fight date on BLK Prime when they were trying to do that little Tuesday night fight series that never really got going. But yeah, I gotta do a video on Alan Garcia. Get him in the rotation. Dundada, what's good, champ? Good to see you. We got Dundada in the building. We got Enrique Luna. He says, Bam is doing more than your PBC crap. Gary Russell is a witness protection. Where's Leo Santa Cruz? Damn, Jamal Charlo got more time off than the president. Damn right. Listen, man, Jamal Charlo got more time off than a pregnant woman on maternity leave. Like, he's not even mentally fit to box, but this ain't about him right now. Mullers says, BT, you're the man to get the WBC to see the sense why we need better BF versus Bivol. Why do you say that, Muller? Why do you say on the? Please kindly explain in the chat Why am I the man to do that? I'd like to know why. Did you by any chance did you by any chance watch my video on when I spoke to the WBA about Ian Green? Let me know in the chat. Inoue would hurt Bam Rodriguez for real. Well, listen, there's only one way to find out. And if Mr. Honda wants the fight to happen, it's gonna happen, because I kind of always knew he was like the Al Heyman in Japan, but like from the way it was broken down and explained to me from somebody who's Japanese, who fought in Japan, who's actually, you know, been through the Japanese boxing system, that dude might even be more powerful than Al Heyman in Japan. It's crazy. BT, they said Bam rehydrated to 129. I believe it, because he's fought that high before, so it's very believable. Bam is not as small as you guys think. I saw Bam face to face at the Roman Gonzalez Julio Cesar Martinez fight when I interviewed him with Sean Tatel. He was wide and he had a lot of weight on him. I'm telling you. Mr. Honda doesn't like his fighters fighting each other. Why do you think Bam moved down to 112? Because Nakatani 115. Now Bam is going back to 115. Nakatani all of a sudden, yeah, that's how it goes. You're absolutely correct, Tyro. You're 1000% correct. Mr. Honda has this weird thing about his fighters not fighting each other. You know, Tekken Promotions fighters are a family. It's kind of to just use a really appropriate word. It's kind of gay, if you ask me. Just really, really gay. But you know. That's just my opinion. Like I think these guys should be fighting each other. You know, if guys are with the same promoter, all the more reason to fight each other, because you can make money together. You know, what's more noble than making money with your fellow friends? You know, and your fellow stablemates. You know, that type of thing. But we're gonna switch gears, because as far as Bam is concerned, listen, I told you guys that the road to greatness for Bam Rodriguez, it goes through Japan, and look. The way I see it, if Bam Rodriguez wants to continue carving out a great legacy for him in the sport, there's 3 fighters in and around his weight that he's got to fight in the near future. Obviously, Junto Nakatani is a fighter that's getting a lot of hype, that people want to see him fight. He's fighting Santiago for the WBC bantamweight title, and I believe Junto is a Tekken Promotions fighter as well. I could be wrong on that one, Bob. So correct me if I'm wrong. If he gets that belt, I don't know. Probably not. Maybe they don't wind up fighting each other. But if they don't fight each other, look. One thing I can tell you guys, whether we're talking about Kenshiro or Kosai Tanaka, I know for a fact there's guys that want to fight Bam. Look, you know, a lot of people don't even want to see Bam move up yet, because there are some people on Twitter. Shout out to my man Shiba Box 1109 1109. He said only one man can stop only Kenshiro can stop Bam. Kenshiro is our only hope, ladies and gentlemen. According to my man right here, Kenshiro is the only hope to stop Bam Rodriguez. Now, of course, if they were gonna fight, 2 things would have to happen. Number 1, Kenshiro would have to be willing to move up to 112, and I think Bam Rodriguez will have to be open to the possibility of staying at 112 for a big fight like that. And I'll say this. I think if there was ever a fight that Bam should stay at 112 for, it's Kenshiro Taraji. Why? Because Kenshiro Taraji is a borderline Hall of Famer. I think in my eyes, he actually is a Hall of Famer, because he's been a dominant champion. He's been a consistent champion. He's been in great fights. He's given the boxing fans, you know, a lot of great moments in the ring. But Kenshiro, big time fighter, A-level fighter. You know, the only man that's beaten Kenshiro is Masamichi Ibuki, and then when they had the rematch, you saw what happened to him, right? So I think it's kind of like the same thing with Gaio. Every fighter that's been in that ring with Kenshiro Taraji has tasted defeat. And I'll tell you guys this. You guys know, for those of you who follow me, for those of you who really are tapped in with the untouchable True School Sports Empire, you know that when I was in Japan earlier this year, Kenshiro expressed an interest to fight Bam Rodriguez. And if you never saw what he said, here's what Kenshiro said about fighting Bam Rodriguez back in May when I was in Japan, and I interviewed the man for myself face-to-face with my translator, my boy, Taihei Yamamoto. Shout out to Taihei. He'll be doing my translator next time I go out there. But yeah, here's Kenshiro talking about Bam.
How does he feel his style and his skills match up with Bam Rodriguez? その WO デニスですが、今アメリカでは、次のスター候補みたいな感じで言われてるんですけど、どう思う？
スターになっててくれたのがありがたいですよね。
Yeah, he's willing to hit the Banwell Davis to be in star over there because he's going to beat him up anyway along the way.
So you can ask him this. He's going to beat him up and take his fans.
ロイユスケのファンも取ってしまいたいです。
そうですね。
Yes.
So you heard it. You heard what Kenshiro said. You heard what the hell he said. He said he gonna beat Bam if they ever fight. He'll beat him up and take his fans. And I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna say it straight like this. Kenshiro has expressed personally to me a desire to fight in the States. He even told me he wants me at his American debut. Now, I don't know when or how the hell that's going to happen, but if there was ever a fight where he should make his American debut, I think Bam is the ideal fight. It's a different type of style too, right? Because unlike a Sonny Edwards, Sonny Edwards has no pop at all. Now, I don't know how Kenshiro's punching power would carry up from 108 to 112. We'd have to see how that works out. But fundamentally, like a lot of times your punching power is dependent upon your technique and your fundamentals, and he's got great fundamentals. So if his punching power carries up at all, we know Kenshiro's got a nice educated jab. He's got probably one of the best. He's got one of the best right hands in the business. It's a different challenge for Bam Rodriguez. So I like that fight. It might be a case of Bam being too big, too strong, but Kenshiro, in my eyes, is a Hall of Fame fighter, and he's one of the best fighters pound for pound in the entire sport of boxing. So if the opportunity presents itself to fight Kenshiro Taraji, Bam Rodriguez has to jump on it because that's the kind of name you want to get on your resume. So, it is what it is there. But then if Bam says, look, the good thing about Bam's whole situation is if you don't want to fight that Japanese guy, listen, we got a Japanese guy for you in every weight class. So you don't want to fight Kenshiro. You can't make the weight. You feel like, you can't make the weight no more. It's too dangerous. Okay. You don't got to fight Kenshiro. You can go fight Kosai Tanaka. He's in the weight class that you're going to. He's a 115-pounder. He's a three division champion, 108-pound champion, 105-pound champion, 112-pound champion. And he has aspirations of becoming a 4-division champion, right? He is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters around these weights, and he is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters from Japan. And I think that fight would be great for him, right? And look, again, I talked to Kosai Tanaka myself. So this is not like me speculating. This is not me hoping and wishing. This is real facts. This is real. Like, I can tell you guys from what I know, Kosai Tanaka also wants to come to the States, probably a little more than Kenshiro. One of his dreams is to fight in the States. He was even here in the States. He came to Minnesota and sat ringside for Fernando Martinez to scout him. And when I talked to him, he mentioned that he wanted to fight Bam Rodriguez in the States. And if you don't believe me, here's Kosai Tanaka.
Probably he likes being ring with the Jesse Bam Rodriguez.
Yeah. What excites him about fighting Jesse Bam? Like, what about his style excites him about fighting Jesse?
その選手のその多彩なスタイルに自分が合わせていくっていうのをどういうふうに対応できるかっていうのを楽しみにしてると。
自分自身がどうなるのかも楽しみだし、あとオールマイティな選手に対して逆に自分がいろんな引き出しを出して戦わなきゃいけないと思うんですけど、それがどんどん出てくるのか、それが楽しみ。
So against like him, it's like he needs to pull out all kind of drawers to to match with. So he's kind of expecting himself to what kind of the fight style is gonna be. So he's pretty excited about that.
Okay.
So there you have it. Kosai Tanaka is ready, willing, and able to fight Bam. So you got Kenshiro, pound-for-pound caliber fighter, future Hall of Famer in my opinion. Kosai Tanaka, both willing to fight Bam. Pick one, all right? Pick a Japanese guy. Pick one, all right? I think stylistically they're both good fights. I think Bam might be too big for Kenshiro, but Tanaka be a really intriguing fight because Tanaka, again, I don't think Tanaka has the greatest chin in the world, but Tanaka is one of the most offensively dynamic fighters in boxing. So he's going to be throwing punches at Bam Rodriguez. Very explosive guy for the weight. Has tied up his defense since the loss to Ioka. I think that'd be a really good challenge for Bam at 115 because that's where he's going, right? So of the two, that's the more realistic, but nonetheless, just a lot of great options for the San Antonio native. The world, the world, the way I look at it is the world is his oyster. So let's get to it. Hyro says Top Rank has really highlighted Junto Nakatani. Top Rank does the best in showing these fights from Japan. Yeah, they do a hell of a job. I mean, they're going to be showing the fight and program reminder. 1 week from today, ladies and gentlemen, 1 week from today, I will be live for Naoya Inoue versus Marlon Tapales. So it's going to be a momentous occasion. You know, we know Inoue is going to be trying to become undisputed for the second time in a calendar year, fighting a 2-division champion, you know, a really determined Filipino puncher in Marlon Tapales. You know, good fight, really good fight. I can't wait to be live for it. You know, obviously, I think when it comes to American Naoya Inoue coverage, I'm probably the leader in that on YouTube. So I already know it's gonna be a fun live. Just the same way the Stephen Fulton live was fun. So make sure you guys join me for that. But yeah, Top Rank does a great job with showing these fights, and long may it continue. Long may it continue. El Jefe says if you have Kenshiro as a Hall of Famer for being a one division unified champion, then you got to put my Texas native Errol Spence 3-belt unified champion. All right, so now that you brought it up, right? Because I don't want to sit here and compare an A-level fighter to a B-level fighter, because that's what you're doing. You're comparing a guy who's an A-level fighter in Kenshiro to a guy who's a B-level fighter in Errol Spence. And yeah, I said it. Errol Spence Jr. is a B-level fighter. A very hyped up B-level fighter, an accomplished B-level fighter, but a B-level fighter nonetheless. He's not an A-level fighter because when he fought another A-level fighter in Terrence Crawford, he got beat up by him. But nonetheless, let's compare. Let's compare. You want to compare? Let's compare, right? Because there really is no comparison. There is no comparison between Kenshiro and Errol Spence. None. Zero. Errol Spence. Hold on. Let me pull it up first. Because Errol Spence had the belt, but he ain't defended it nearly as many times as Kenshiro. That's for damn sure. His fights he damn sure hasn't been as dominant as Kenshiro. That's for damn sure. Because when Kenshiro lost, yeah, he's got knocked out. But like Errol lost every second of every round, and then he got knocked out. Kenshiro just got knocked out by a good punch, right? But nonetheless, look. So Kenshiro, I know from talking about it, I believe he has 10 or 11 world title defenses. Like there's only like 3 or 4 fighters in boxing active right now who have made 10 defenses or more. It's like Crawford, Canelo, Roman Gonzalez, Deontay Wilder, I think Gallo, Vaquero Navarrete, and I think I had a list, but the dude became champion when? I think it was 2017. 2017 became champion. So Ken won his first world title in 2017, and he's defended that shit over 2 title reigns like 10 or 11 times. Earl don't got 10 or 11 defenses. In fact, Earl barely fights. Earl didn't fight all of 2021. You know, I know you're going to say car crash. And that's another thing. Earl got into a car crash because he was living an undisciplined lifestyle outside the ring and whatnot. The best fighter he fought was Terrence Crawford. When he fought him, he got sparked. The best fighter Kenshiro fought, and his biggest and most important fight was Hirota Kayaguchi, and abused him and beat the piss out of him for, you know, the whole fight. There's no comparison. There is zero comparison. Kenshiro has been the #1 light flyweight in the world for, I don't know, the better part of more than half a decade. Errol Spence purposely avoided Terrence Crawford for the better part of half a decade. There is no comparison between the amazing boy and the truth. And that's the truth, you know, but to each his own. You know, I give Earl his just due because, you know, he did beat Kell Brook. Even though I still think Kell Brook would have beat him if they would have fought, you know, they would have fought with him not being weight trained. That's just me. But nonetheless, that's gonna wrap it up on my my Bam versus the Japanese segment of the show, because we got more to talk about. We got more to discuss. One last point about Bam, because I mentioned it earlier. So, you know, Bam Rodriguez. We know that Bam Rodriguez, he's beaten Rung Vasai, he's beaten Sonny Edwards, he's beaten Carlos Cuadras, he's beaten 2 of the old guard at 115, 2 of the 115 legends from that era. He's the legend killer, like Randy Orton, you know, like He's killing legends out here, like Randy Orton did in WWE with the RKO and shit like that. And he wants Gallo Estrada next, but he's been very dismissive of Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, and not in a disrespectful way, but more so of a, we just respect each other type thing. So let's go to screen share right quick and let's dissect this, because this is so like, I'm sorry, man. Like, Roman Gonzalez is my favorite fighter of all time, but this is just so soft. And I'm sorry, Mr. Honda. Like, it's soft. It's just soft. That's how I view it. Now, Bam was asked about fighting Roman Gonzalez, and here's what he said. He said the following, and I quote, "People always ask that. There's a lot of respect between me and Chocolatito. Mr. Honda, I don't think he would like that fight too much. Every time people ask me that, I just say I don't think it's a possibility. It's a great fight. The respect is between us. Estrada is a great champion too, and I believe that he's an even bigger fight." He then went on by saying, "He's always had something to say about my performances. He claims that I'm a hype job and I'm not as good as people say. Why not get inside the ring and prove it to people?" So he's already showing you guys. He's showing you guys his hand right there. He's showing you guys that the move is going to be a fight with Gallo Estrada, which I have no problem with. I think that's a great fight. Gallo's an amazing fighter. Gallo's a future Hall of Famer. Gallo's been one of boxing's true warriors for a number of years. But Gallo Estrada, I would rather see him fight Roman Gonzalez, to be honest with you, because as great as Gallo Estrada is, the face around these weights all these years has been Roman Gonzalez. And so the same way back in the day, Oscar De La Hoya had to fight Julio Cesar Chavez in a passing of the torch fight, which thus in turn helped build De La Hoya into a star. I feel like they should be doing that. But Mr. Honda be on this weird thing where he don't like his fighters fighting each other. So I think it's real corny. But I do know that Roman Gonzalez and Bam, they do have respect for each other. This is a picture from 2020. This picture right here. This is from 2020 when Bam fought on the undercard of Roman Gonzalez versus Kal Yafai. Now, I went to this card, and I remember Bam fighting on that card. And at the time, I didn't pay Bam much mind because Bam was a prospect, and he really wasn't like a true contender at that point in time yet. But you guys see it right there. They're both taking the pictures. This was from a long time ago. They both got their Tekken Promotions tracksuits on. So, like, I think it's unfortunate, but I've already come to the reality that we're not going to get that fight. So it is what it is. As far as Roman Gonzalez is concerned, I said it earlier in the live. He needs to either A, fight Sonny Edwards, Ioka, or Tanaka, or just leave the sport. That's how it's got to be. Because if he's not in it to fight the best, then what's he in it for? Now, Roman Gonzalez's last fight, he fought Gallo Estrada and lost. So if he wants to fight like a Can or or whatever, fight in Nicaragua and get an easy win and end his career on that note, I'm okay with that too. But if he's not fighting them three names, I'm not really interested in what Roman Gonzalez has going on. So it's probably not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, so that's what it is. There will be no Roman Gonzalez passing a torch fight. If that's what you're looking for, if that's what you want, odds are it's not happening. So make it that what you will. El Jefe says he may have 10 title defenses against two, and you criticize Wilder's defenses, and you can't even name Kenshiro's defenses in his first game without box strike. Yes, I can. Hirota Kayaguchi. He fought Kayaguchi. He won against Gangian Lopez. And yeah, Masamichi Ibuki. Yeah, and he actually made more. He made more than 11 defenses, and he also, I think he fought. No, that was Tanaka. Tanaka fought Jonathan Gonzalez, but Kenshiro has more than 10 title defenses. He has 11. In fact, hold on, man. I'm doing too much talking. Where's that damn? You're gonna really fuck around and make me go on Instagram or go to my YouTube community post and pull it up, because I made a whole post talking about this. I talked about this when he beat Hecky Butler. Oh, that's another one. Hecky Butler was another one. Anthony Olaskuwaga earlier this year. Like, when he beat Hecky Butler, I looked it up because I saw he had a lot of the defenses, and I wanted to see like where did Kenshiro stack up amongst the other great fighters in boxing for title defenses. And I'm gonna pull it up now. Now I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna scroll all the way down my community post until I go ahead and I find it. Let me see. Because now you got me wanting to fight. Because now I gotta go. Now I gotta go all in my community posts. Now I gotta pull it up. Now you gotta get me to put you in check. And this is why I can't talk to you, some of you guys. That's why I can't talk to some of y'all, because y'all be on that bullshit. Y'all be on that foolishness. Okay, where is it? Where is the community post? If I'm not mistaken, I know Kenshiro fought Pedro Guevara. I know he fought Pedro Guevara, and I think he might have even fought Milan Malindo back in the day. Correct me if I'm wrong. But correct me if I'm wrong. Box record for me. But I'm pretty sure he fought Pedro Guevara and Milan Malindo in his first reign. Good, solid guys. Good fighters. Not no Gerald Washingtons. Not no punk ass Johan Duab. Like really, like top contenders, ex-champions, guys who actually did something. Correct me if I'm wrong. Milan Malindo and Pedro Guevara. Let me know. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up right now. Cause El Jefe make me do this because you want to talk that Earl Spence nonsense. Earl Spence is not on Kenshiro's level at all. Not in terms of quality of fights, not in terms of performances, not in terms of consistency, none of that. Oh, here we go. I got it. Okay. I had to scroll down all the way from 3 months ago to find this and pull it up. So we're going to go to screen share. All right? Because you said this, El Jefe. You did this to yourself. And I'm just talking about pure title defenses, not entire title reigns. I'm talking about title defenses throughout a professional career. Because Kenshiro's up there. Because I made this post. Now look, I'm on this is my post from back in September, all right, of Kenshiro. So I literally sat down for like a whole damn near 2 hours, and I looked at every fighter in boxing's current, amount of world title defenses in their career. Not during a reign. I'm talking about total defenses. In the whole sport of boxing, Kenshiro ranks 6th. He ranks 6th in the whole sport of boxing with 11 career world title defenses. Number 1 is Kazuto Ioka. Number 2 is Terrence Crawford. Number 3 is actually, it's now a tie because Canelo fought Jermell Charlo, so now he has 15. So they're tied at 3. Roman Gonzalez is 4, and then that'll put Kenshiro actually in the top 5. So Kenshiro is actually one of only 6 fighters in boxing who have more than 10 world title defenses. Earl Spence does not have that amount of world title defenses because Earl Spence was too busy, getting into car accidents and drinking and not being disciplined. So there's no comparison to Kenshiro and Earl Spence. By the way, El Jefe, you never verified it to me. Pedro Guevara and Milan Malindo, guys that have been champions in at lower weight classes and at the weight. Did Kenshiro not fight them in their first title reign? I didn't even use BoxRec. Let me know. Because you were running your mouth a lot about, the first title reign. Let me know. Anyway, we're not taking and we're not tolerating no Kenshiro slander or disrespect here on True School Sports. So yeah. No, I didn't give up on American boxing. There is great American boxing talent, but unfortunately, a lot of the best American talent either A, they just make bad business decisions, or B, their promoters don't believe in them enough. Like, for example, one of my favorite American fighters is fighting January 12th. Atif Oberton, a guy that I think has all the makings of being the light heavyweight champion of the world. And he's really entertaining, and he's likable, and he's fun to watch. And, he's fighting January on this random, like, King's Promotions card, but, he's got to be a little more active. And I know that's not his fault. Sometimes it's not the fighter's fault, but it's just how it goes. So no, I still love the American fighters, but there's a lot of great talent abroad too. Okay, thank you. That's what I'm saying. He did fight those guys. So Kenshiro has had longevity. He's had as much longevity in this sport as any fighter there is. So got to give him more credit where credit is due. So it is what it is. But listen, guys. I'm not trying to make this too long of a live, so there's 21 of you here. If you got any questions, I'll hang around for like 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. I'll hang around for 10 more minutes, and then I'll go ahead and end it because I have to go ahead and prepare for the second live. I'll be live later on tonight for probably around like 10 o'clock to preview the Saudi card, as well as talk about other things in boxing. So if you guys got any questions about boxing, I'll stay on for 10 more minutes and then I'm going to dip. But yeah, man, long week, man. A lot of content still to edit. You know, a lot of great stuff from the convention. A lot of good interviews. Like I recently interviewed Michael Zarafa. I interviewed Adrian Broner, amongst many others. So if y'all want to check those out, go check those out. Who do you want Junto Nakatani to fight next? He's at 118, right? So he's WBC. If Gaio Estrada moves to 118 like he says he's gonna do, and he could get some wins there, I like that fight. But then you got other champions. You got 118. You have. Why not make him versus Takuma Inoue? I mean, Takuma Inoue got to fight somebody. Like eventually, Takuma Inoue is gonna lose that belt. Everyone knows Takuma Inoue is not like he's good, he's solid, but he's not like no world beater. So everyone and their mother wants to fight Takuma Inoue. Every time I interview one of these bantamweights, the first guy they want to fight is Takuma Inoue because he's got the associations at Naoya, and he's champion and he's beatable. You know, so I like the Takuma Inoue unification. Andrade is back at 160. You know, honestly, if he can make 160, then that actually pisses me off. Like and I'm gonna have to really give that. I'm gonna have to give that one its own video because, like, you talk about career mismanagement. If you could still make 160 now, then why did you leave 160 in the first place? You should have just stayed there and defended your belt, fought Johnny back, fought on ESPN, build your value up. You know, but what do I know? He took the money as he always does in his career and made a bad, stupid decision to fight a cruiserweight, and fought a cruiserweight who's, you know, very, very good in David Benavidez. So didn't work out for him. Respect him for fighting Benavidez though. Estrada wants to tune up before Bam. Should Bam take a stay busy or just go fight for Nakatani? I think he should definitely, if he's gonna fight Nakatani, take a stay busy. Take a tune-up fight because Junto is big. Junto is a guy that I think will one day fight at 122. So I think Bam's gonna need to fight some guys that are high level at that weight. Did you ask the WBA president why he gave Rolly a title shot after getting knocked out by Tank? No, I didn't, because I didn't care about Rolly. I didn't give a half of a singular. I didn't care about Rolly at all because Rolly was there, and I talked to Rolly. Like, I didn't interview Rolly, but I had a conversation with Rolly about boxing and life, more so life than boxing. And Rolly didn't care about Rolly, so I didn't ask. I didn't ask him about that. My main concern when I was talking to Gilberto Mendoza wasn't Rolly or any of the mainstream fighters you guys know. It was more so the guys that have been getting mistreated, guys like Ian Green, guys like Trayshawn Wiggins, the guys that have been overlooked, that don't have anybody in boxing really vouching for them. I felt like I needed this. It was more important for me to speak about those guys. So no, I didn't. What are your thoughts on PBC on Amazon Prime? I heard Al Haymon is getting a second network. I think it's good. I think it's hard for me to really have a complete thought and perspective on it until I know who the second network is. But I look forward to it. Listen, man, I think boxing being on Amazon Prime, a big platform like that, is great. Now I just hope that Al Haymon makes more fights for his top fighters and keeps them active. Like, I hope like a guy like Atif Overton, who I love. That's probably arguably my favorite Al Haymon fighter. Like, Atif Overton is great, and he's fun to watch, and he has a lot of value to offer to the light heavyweight division. But Al just hasn't been getting him exposure and keeping him active. So I'm hoping for a guy like him, it changes. But we'll see how it goes. I don't really have much on that right now. I will, though, soon. Takuma Inoue is very beatable. He lost against Ubali, but looks better. To be honest, when he fought Ubali, I thought it was close, and I thought he did enough to actually get the nod in that fight. But yes, the fact that, you know, he kind of showed his level in the Ubali fight, so I get it, and he lost to him. So, yeah, I mean, like, just recently in 2 interviews, I've had 2 of the American bantamweights call him out. Like, I had Lawrence Beatsy Newton, one of South Florida's very own, call out Takuma Inoue. I think Lawrence Newton would box the shit out of Takuma Inoue. Honestly, I don't think Takuma Inoue would be able to handle Lawrence beats Inoue if they fought. So I like that fight because Lawrence beats Inoue is my favorite fighter from South Florida. Like, honestly, like, no, on no friend shit, on no bias shit. Like my favorite fighter from South Florida, quiet as kept, is actually Lawrence Nguyen. Lawrence Medina's up there as well. Eric Lances Jr. is up there as well. But for me, I like Lawrence Nguyen a lot. I think he's got pound for pound type of skills. He just, man, it's been management issues and hand problems and things like that. But to me, he's always been up there. He just needs the opportunity to show what he can do. Bentley says, yo, Bruce Shushu Carrington is talking like he can expose Inoue. He's got skills, but I don't think he's on Inoue's level. I still think Shushu has to develop a bit more. Like, he doesn't have the top level experience to deal with an Inoue yet. But I think if he can make featherweight long enough to get an Inoue fight and make it healthily, that's going to be an interesting fight for Inoue because Shushu isn't like Stephen Folan. Folan is a great fighter, a fantastic fighter, but Folan can't punch like Shushu. Shushu's a lot more exposed than Stephen Folan, got more speed than Stephen Folan, longer than Stephen Folan, I believe, as far as reach. So he's got some tools that I think are a different challenge. But right now, that fight would be too early for him. But it's definitely one of the fights that I'm looking at towards the future. I've been looking at Overton since you first brought him up. I don't know how long ago, but man, we got to see that kid more. Yeah, I think the last time I probably talked about Atiba was when he was last fighting, which was damn near around this time last year when he was getting ready to fight on Showtime against the Russian Artem Brusov. So yeah, it's been too few and far between for Lord Pretty Calvo, but he's back in the ring January 12th. Little stay busy fight. Do you think Tank and Rao will fight? What do you think of that fight? I don't think about that fight because it's not a fight that Tank should be taking, but I think it'd be an entertaining fight. You know, Rao's flat-footed. Rao likes to sit there and trade. Rao likes to sit there and bang as far as, like, you know, in the pocket. So I think it'll end in a knockout. I think it'll be really fun for the fans, but it's not the kind of fights we need to see Tank in. We need to see Tank against Teofimo Lopez. We need to see Tank against Devin Haney. We need to see Tank against Subriel Matias. You know, the top guys at, you know, 35, 40. Those kind of matchups would suffice. Do you think the Lopez-Matias fight will happen? Yes, I do. Provided that Teofimo Lopez can beat Jermaine Ortiz, I think that fight winds up happening in June, as they're saying. Quiet as kept, and I'll give you guys some insight to a little conversation I had when I was at the WBA convention. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. It was the night. So Lorenzo Medina fought when? Lorenzo Medina fought on Friday night. So it was Saturday morning at like 2 a.m. And I saw Lorenzo Medina at the bar talking to Teofimo Sr., right? So I see Lorenzo over there. So I go to say hi to Lorenzo. And as I'm going to say hi to Lorenzo, Teofimo Sr. is like, is that the guy that talks shit about my son? And he's like, yeah, that's you. Yeah, you talk a lot of shit about my son, bro. Right? So basically, T.O. Sr. just vented to me about some things I had said in some videos that he wasn't too fond of. But, you know, it was cool. It was respectful. We got me and him I am going to be in contact with him very soon about doing some interviews with him and his son because Teofimo will be training down here because there's a new gym opening up in South Florida real soon that he'll be training at. So while I was talking to him, he pretty much, like, he told me, he had disclosed to me pretty much, you know, that if they do beat Jermaine Ortiz, that's the fight they're looking at. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah. Let me see the Panthers, man. The Panthers. How did the Maple Leafs pass you guys? Listen, man, we're a great team. We have a great hockey team. Right now, Matthew Tkachuk ain't quite Matthew Tkachuk. He ain't scoring the goals we need him to score. The whole team is being too dependent on Sam Reinhart scoring goals. So I just think the Panthers going through a bit of a cold streak. We'll be all right. We'll be in the playoffs. By the time playoffs come, we'll be ready, and we'll be ready to make our run at the Stanley Cup. And I'll tell you guys right now, if the Panthers in the Stanley Cup final again, I'm shutting everything down again. Okay, because I need the Panthers to win the Stanley Cup, man, just so I can be happy. So I need to see it one time in my life. If the Panthers finally win the Stanley Cup, you know, I'll be all right. Your boy BT be all right. He says, boy, well, our Dolphins are doing something spectacular. Yeah, I'm not really like a big football guy, and the Dolphins are my favorite. Like, they're not my favorite. They're my second favorite team, but yeah, shout out to them. The Dolphins doing their thing. Shout out to Tua. You know, if the Dolphins can win a Super Bowl for South Florida, that'd be great too. You know, South Florida, stand up. Bentley says, Tio is my man's. Yeah, shout out to Tio, man. Got a lot of love for him. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think he was going to beat Josh Taylor. Prove me wrong, and I was happy to see him do it, you know. He always seems to get up for those big fights. You know, when nobody thinks Tio's going to win, he fights great. When everyone thinks Tio's going to win, he don't fight so great. So I guess we just got to doubt Tio every fight and just tell him that he going to get knocked out every fight, and he'll perform like that every fight. What do you see Inoue's max weight class being? You think he can get a vacant belt at 130? That'd be very, very intriguing to see. I think everyone thinks that Inoue is just gonna run through 126. I don't see it like that. Like, I think 126 is gonna get real hot for Inoue because there's some really good fighters in that weight class. You know, you got like we mentioned the Shushu character earlier. I mean, I'm not really too big on most of the champions there now. Like Fernando Lopez, I think Inoue beats him soundly. Who's the other one? Ray Vargas really ain't anything too crazy. Rafael Espinoza, I don't think he would beat Inoue, but Rafael Espinoza would be really entertaining to watch fight Inoue. That might wind up being just like the Jamie McDonald fight because Espinoza has the same frame. Hold on, let me take a drink right quick. My throat's a little dry, you know. It's a little cold here in South Florida. It's a little cold, you know. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I am a little under the weather, but I'm still getting it done. I'm still being professional. I'm still here, still making it do what it do. But yeah, I think like the guys that I think at 126 at featherweight that would give Inoue the biggest, like, toughest fights are the guys who aren't champions yet. So guys like Otabek Komatov, guys like Angelo Leo, guys like Ruben Villa, Shushu, like 6 fights from now, if they're still you know, if he's still there at the weight class, you know, guys like that I think could give him a good fight. You know, so we'll ultimately see how it winds up going. But I don't know, man. Like Inoue is he's in that mode right now. Like, the way I see Inoue, his career, he's kind of been like in 2009 Pacquiao mode for like the last 4 years because he's at that stage of his career where you honestly don't know how far he can go. Like, how far can this little Japanese dude take it? You know, he's that damn good. So we'll see how it goes. You know, things change, narratives change fight by fight. But right now, I would say that featherweight, I think, is going to be his cap. Maybe 130, but I'm going to say featherweight. I don't think featherweight is going to be as easy for him as some people think, especially if certain guys get their hands on titles, as like some of the guys I mentioned. Chris Colbert going back down to 130. Listen, man, he may need to just he may need to just stop boxing altogether because his heart ain't quite been in the sport. I just know that Chris Colbert ain't been quite living that life of a fighter, and you know, he's made good money. You know, I really think he should have went to 130 and not taken the Ryle rematch. I think it was dumb. Like, if I was his advisor and manager, he wouldn't have been in the damn Ryle rematch. You were lucky to just get out of there the first time. So, yeah, man. He said, Anthony Mazzano says, BT and Pops, do you think Ben might be the first person in the lighter divisions in the modern era to become undisputed simultaneously at 115 and 118? You can't do that. That's impossible. You can't be undisputed in 2 weight classes at the same time because sanctioning body's got all these rules that prevent that from happening, which is actually good for the sport. So can't happen, but it sounds nice. Bentley, shout out to Bentley with the super chat. You know, we gotta thank God. Gotta thank God. Gotta thank Bentley. We gotta thank Al Heyman because, you know, we pray to God and we pray to Al Heyman.
What do you think Al Heyman's doing for boxing PBC?
I'm not sure. I know he's doing great for me. You know, me and my daughters thank Al Heyman, you know, in our prayers every night. You know, he's changing boxing But I can't really speak for everybody else. I'm speaking for me.
Shout out to Bentley with the super chat. He says, keep it up. South Florida boy. That's right. South Florida stand up. You know, Dania Beach, Hollywood, Weston, Pembroke Pines, Naranja, Leisure City, Liberty City, Little Haiti, Brickell, the Venetian Islands, Homestead. What else? Naranja. Where else? Where else is South Florida? South Miami Heights, Little Havana, Delray Beach, Boca Raton. I'll name the whole South Florida if you want. You know, Tamarack, Lauderhill. Yeah, shout out to South Florida, all the people in it, and definitely all the fighters. You know, just so you guys know, the next fighters from South Florida that are going to be active, like in notable fights, will be on the Munguia versus John Ryder undercard. You're going to have the Tudor brothers. Eric Tudor will be making a little comeback fight. I don't know who his opponent is, but he'll have a comeback fight on the Munguia Ryder undercard. You know, it'll be his first fight since he lost Jose Luis Sanchez. And then his brother, Sasha Tudor, he'll actually be making his pro debut. He just signed a Golden Boy himself. His coach, Jeff Ports, actually just reported it on his Instagram recently on his story. So shout out to the Tudor brothers, Romanian descent, but you know they from Broward, you know, Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood area. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. BT, do you think the fight with Haney and Matias plays out the same way people are saying like he did with Regis? No, absolutely not. I think Devin obviously is a master boxer, but Matias just has a way of getting the fighters. I just think there's going to be a point in that fight where Devin is going to have to fight. And I think that fight would be a unique opportunity for Devin to show even more of his skills, because I give him credit for the program win, but I never really thought it was going to be like a extremely tough fight for Devin just because of the whole footwork thing. I didn't think Regis had the boxing acumen or intelligence to get his feet in position to throw the kind of shots he needed to throw to be in position to, you know, hurt Devin and fight his fight. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Yup. West of I-75. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. South Florida. Matias is the GGG of 140. Yes. Yes. Damn near it seems like it. But, you know, I can see what you're saying. Maybe he is the GGG of 140, but I'll tell you this. Matias has a style. Matias has a style that is very – sometimes a style like his can have a short shelf life. So you can enjoy him while you're here, while he's here and he's doing his thing. But he's always – a guy like him is always that one fight away from, you know, just falling off a cliff just because he's always, you know, a lot of punches, a lot of punishment he takes at times in fights. So as quickly as you're saying he's the GGG at 140, he could turn to the Jarrett Hurd at 140. Same thing, because Jarrett Hurd, people forget because people in boxing got short memories, but when he was like doing his thing back in like 2017, 2018, when he fought like Arizona Lara in the fight of the year, or like Frank Galarza, or Austin Trout, or Tony Harrison. I mean, man, you can hit this guy with a brick, a shovel. He was going to keep coming. And I kind of see Matias in a sense kind of like that. So that's why for me, I want to see him get these fights early, because I don't want to be like Jarrett Hurd. In South Florida, are there any Dominican boxers that you should look out for? Yeah, let me see. Dominican boxers that you should look out for. Well, there's one prospect. There's Frenchie Fortunato, good fighter. I believe he's I'm going to say he's like a bantamweight or super bantamweight. He might have one loss, but he had this one really good win on Showbox against this European fighter. I like him. He's a good fighter. You have Frenchie Fortunato. I'm trying to think who else there is. I mean, Jason Rosario trained here, but he's not like – he's fighting now still, like little bullshit Dominican fights. Not real fights. But let me see who else Dominicans. Right now I can't think off the top of my head, but I'll say Frenchie Fortunato. I like him a lot. Good fighter, long for the weight class, just has a bit of stamina problems, but solid guy. Jarrett Hurd and Joe, yeah, they definitely did. A lot of punishment, really entertaining fights, but really short shelf life. So that's what it is. But listen, guys, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up because we're kind of all over the place right now. I'll see you guys again later on. I'll be live later on at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific. We're going to talk about the Saudi card, the whole card, everything concerning every fighter and every fight on that card, and as well as other news and notes and topics in boxing. So make sure you guys tune in for that. It'll be a lot of fun. Let me address this one last comment because I did miss it. My man wants to know, BT, are you going to play Grand Theft Auto 6 in South Florida? Well, I don't have a PS5. So probably not. Now, if I go to someone's house that has a PS5, I probably will go play Grand Theft Auto 6 because they do have a lot of places in South Florida that are pretty cool in the game. So I might want to play it if I go to somebody's house or something like that. But now, listen, man. Let me show y'all one more last thing. Look, man. Y'all talking about Grand Theft Auto 6. Look, man. I still got PlayStation 2. Look, that's my PlayStation 2 memory card. I just got my PS2 fixed yesterday, so I'm still playing PlayStation 2. You know, I was just playing PlayStation 2 before this live, so you know, that's my system I like. But nonetheless, you guys take care. I'll see you guys later on at 10. And yeah, check out the content on the channel. A lot of interviews, a lot of videos, a lot of content. I'm sure you guys probably may have missed one thing. But yeah, take care. God bless. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just Kevin Daniels. So until next time, take care, guys.